If you're like me, you might have a collection of sentiments. Sentiment stamps, sentiments that you've stamped and cut into strips, word dies, words, sentiments, you know what I'm talking about. Well, I'm going to show you a couple of fun ways that you can use your sentiments to it's just, they're so simple and so easy, but they really can oof up your projects and your cards. I'm telling you. You want to know what it is? Let's get to it. Just these simple things is really going to up your usage of your sentiment stamps. So let's first look at any sentiment stamps that you have that are just straight up sentiments, or you can build your own. So basically I took this sentiment stamp and I have all the stamps on the backing paper. I did not take it off. So then I just took a piece of tape, put it on the plastic, and then I'll be able to close my MISTI door on it and pick it up just as if it's stamp all by itself. So whether you're using an acrylic block or a MISTI, it doesn't matter. Don't remove the stamps, tape it in place, and go to town. So I'm going to use black ink on white cardstock for this particular technique because you're really able to get a lot more out of it if you're using white cardstock, because you can color it however you want, whether it be with ink pads or markers or whatever. So I'll go ahead. Now this is where you want to get some good pressure. Use the sleeve of your shirt, or I'm using my little doorknob here. Any supplies that I'm using, if they're still available, they will be linked in the description below for you. So I'm just making sure to get good, even pressure, because this is not, this is on a piece of plastic. So I just want to make sure everything's good. So I'll lift it up and then I'm like, oh, look at that sentiment up there. It's totally upside down. So maybe make sure your sentiments are, right side up. So I did redo it, so no big deal. I just got a different piece of paper. I moved the sentiment and put it the way it's supposed to be, and I'll just go ahead and ink it up again. Now I like using my MISTI stamping tool as my acrylic block for lots of reasons. The main one is a lot of times I'm lazy and don't really get good pressure, and then I don't completely get all my things inked up. So using my MISTI, and as long as I don't move my paper or my stamp, I'm able to re-ink it if necessary and re-stamp it, and then I am good to go. So do this a whole bunch of times and you'll have a whole lot of backgrounds. Now at this point you can cut them up and have all individual sentiments that you got from one stamping session, or you can turn this background into a card all by itself. So I'm going to trim it down. I'm boring, so I'm doing 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, but do whatever size cards you like to make. And then I'm left with this, and I just love it. So all I did here was just ink blend a couple of colors onto my background. Flicked a whole bunch of water on it because I'm using cathode puller inks, which are water reactive. And then once that's dry, I went ahead and used a die cut right over the top and added some washi tape to the left-hand side. So that's what I mean by if you use white cardstock, you can really customize it with colors or whatever. You can add fun geometrical shapes over the back. There's a lot you can do with that. I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, Skillshare. You guys know how much I love them. I especially love Jane Davies, and this is a recent class I took of hers, painting penguins, and I just love it. I love her unique way of watercoloring, and here's what I actually made from her class. But Skillshare is not just about watercolor. I'll show you in a minute, but these are all the things that I have painted over the last several months, incorporating various classes and various instructors, all in the watercoloring genres. I just adore it for many things. It's not just watercolor. There's so many different things. I'm going to show you something funny in just a second. But the first 1,000 people to use the link will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. All the information is in the description below. So be sure to check that out and see if it's your jam. But I've just had a great time just doing all kinds of different things, from animals to flowers to all kinds of stuff. But listen, I was curious, so I typed in the word cooking. Look at all these cooking classes, right? And you can do it by cuisine, what you're interested in. So good grief. Go over to Skillshare, try my link, type in a keyword, and go to town. All right, another thing you can do is any of your sentiments that have coordinating die cuts. Now, I'm going to show you 2 ways. One, just using the sentiment by itself. So even if you have a large word or whatever sentiment and you don't have a die, you can still do the first part of this. So I'm going to go ahead and just build up my sentiment, how I am laying it down on the cardstock like I want it, and then I'll use the MISTI, close the door to pick up the stamp. So all you need are 2 contrasting colors, or you can use the same color family. It's really whatever you want to do. I'm going to do 2 shades of pink. So the first thing I'm going to do is ink up the little top sentiment there in just black, but here's what I'm talking about. So I'm going to ink up that first hello with a light pink called Sparkling Berry, and then I'll go ahead and press down, and there you go. Now here's where I use my MISTI. I don't think that ink pad has been re-inked in quite some time. So anyway, once that's done, I'm just going to shift the cardstock over a tiny, tiny bit, and not moving the stamp, just shifting the cardstock over. This is again why having the MISTI is nice. Now I no longer need that just saying stamp, so I just removed it. And here I'm going in with a deeper shade of pink. All right, this is called Sangria. And you know, you can do colors that are very next to each other on the color wheel, or completely opposite colors, or you can create a shadow with black. It's really whatever you want to do. But there, you've got yourself a little drop shadow there. See there? Just by kind of nudging your cardstock over a little bit. Now you can nudge it over a little bit more, and I'll show you what that looks like, but then you start to lose the shape of the word. So I'll show you what I mean in just a second. So I'm doing the same thing, inking it up with just the same Sparkling Berry ink. Here I decided to ink it up again because I really, you know, do need to stop being lazy and just refill the ink pad. It would take probably 10 seconds of my life. But, you know, hi, I'm Laurel. So anyway, we're done. So now I'm going to shift it over a little bit. Just a little dab will do ya. And then ink it up with the darker color, which is Sangria in this case. You can use dye inks or pigment inks for this technique. And then go ahead and press down. So here I did it very little. On the last one I did it a little more. So I'll show you. Here's the one where I did it a little more, so you can see how you start to lose the shape a bit. So that's what I'm saying. But really, whatever, you know, rocks your world, go ahead and do it. So this particular hello had a coordinating die. So here's something you can do. Now I went ahead and stamped it and die cut it a whole bunch. So say you don't want to do, or say you don't have a MISTI and you're not comfortable kind of nudging it over, or you messed up like I did on that hello there because I moved it way too much. Take the coordinating die. Oh, I did want to show you, you can take a white pen and kind of accentuate the little hello there if you want to, if you stamp over it and you lose the little gap you have in your letters. But anyway, you can take the die and just go ahead and glue it on offset, and then you're doing your shadow that way. So say you don't have multiple ink colors, or you're not comfortable trying to stamp over if you don't have a MISTI and you have an acrylic block and you're worried about lining it up, this is a good way to do it. Just die cut it and then offset it a little bit, glue it down, and then you get the same kind of look. Now you can stamp your hello in other colors. It doesn't need to be in black. You could have stamped it in that darker color and still gotten the same look from the other one, if you know what I'm saying. So here, it's a little wonky. I didn't even do the right look with the markers, so I was able to cover it all up with the die. All right, so another thing you can do is stamp and die cut as many times as you want, and then start to glue them together. And what that's going to do is it's almost like you're creating an embellishment. It's going to make it really thick. It's easier to do on thicker dies. If you try to do this on intricate dies, you're going to get mad as you're trying to glue it all together. It's just, I mean, you can do it, but I don't have the patience for that. So thicker word dies is best if you want your sanity to stay intact. So just go ahead and glue it over each other as many times as you want. I'm going to do it 5 times. I find that's a good thickness there. I'm using this Barely Art glue, favorite glue ever, but also it's a liquid glue, so I have some wiggle room, so I can kind of make sure that everything is where it needs to be, and make sure, you know, once this glue's dry, man, this glue's dry. So if you don't know, I film with my phone, and I got a phone call and I forgot to turn my camera back on. But all I did was glue those 5 pieces together, and then I glued it down to cardstock. And now I have this really cool embellishment. It's nice, it's thick. If you have glossy accents or any kind of glaze, you can make it shiny. If you have a glitter pen, you can make it sparkly, really whatever you want to do. It's fun. All right, I wanted to show you one more way because I'm lazy, and if I can find an easy way to do it, I'm going to do it. So I had already die cut all those hellos, but you know, I've got that negative space right there. So I'm going to take my ink and I'm just going to blend. I've got these little finger dabbers. You can use whatever you have that's small, so you get into the nooks and crannies of that. And I'm just, it looks ugly right now, but just wait till I pull it off. So I'm just going ahead and I'm going to create my shadow look this way.
So I've gone ahead and look, that looks ugly. Doesn't matter because you're going to offset it with your die cut, and then you get the same kind of look that we have done with the inking this way as well. So you could actually ink up that negative space with a whole bunch of different colors and really get a cool shadow. I don't know why I didn't think of that at the time, but I'm thinking of it right now as I'm doing this voiceover. But gosh, that would have been cool. And then you can offset it as much as you want. So see? Same cool shadow look. So using your sentiments all on the same stamp set to create a fun word background, stacking up any die cut words that you have to make a fun embellishment, shadow stamping. Those are super simple ways to jazz up your sentiments that you already have, whether it's a sentiment stamp, whether it's a word die. And also, hey, if you go ahead and stamp all those sentiments on the full background like we did on this card, and you don't want to create a word background, then you can cut it up into strips using your trimmer, and then you've got all those sentiments ready to go all at one time. I'm all about trying to make it easy. You know what I'm saying? Hope this video was helpful to you. If you've got any other fun, clever ways on how to use your sentiments, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.